The historic Little River Valley area near Roanoke, Indiana is home to 300 acres of native Indiana landscape. You'll find restored grasslands, wildflowers, an ancient sand dune, forested areas, and elk and bison. It's a place to unplug from the world around you and connect with the natural world nearby. This is LC Nature Park.
The valley behind me here, okay, you can see that we're up and it goes down and then it comes up way over in the horizon over there where the tree line is. 10, 12,000 years ago, this was all wetlands and woodlands. We've recreated some of the tall grass prairie. It is part of what we want to show as natural Indiana. My family and I had been vacationing out in the Yellowstone area for a number of years and came to grow a huge admiration for the bison in particular. We watched them swim across a river and jump up a 6-foot bank and then go up a slope none of us could walk up probably. These are incredible animals. Taking care of our natural landscape is a very important part of our task and drive here.
Part of that then is returning some of the animals that inhabited those ecosystems.
Right now we have 30 bison and 23 elk. All but 3 of them were born here.
They're doing their thing, you know, they're grazing and they're going to the bathroom out here, and so they're really reinforcing these habitats and these restorations. Our primary goal is we want them out here to be part of the landscape, you know, to do what they do in these native ecosystems.
Both species are just incredible animals. The more you watch them, the more you learn about them. And I'll take the gator or a golf cart out there, park about 100 feet away, and within 15, 20 minutes, they will have grazed their way over to me. They're looking at me and wondering what I'm doing. And I'm watching them and watching the interaction between calf and mom, mom and bull, moms between moms, calves playing with each other. That is the best time.
These open areas where it's grassland, they were ag fields. Getting to see them returning to a native ecosystem is pretty awesome. Every day you're just experiencing something new.
We're able to reproduce this natural landscape and show people how beautiful Indiana really is. It's not all soybeans and cornfields. It's this.
We're in late summer, so the prairie is very yellow. All of the yellow we see out here is one plant called wild senna, and then the purple, that's called tall ironweed.
Each month you get different flowering plants that are out there, and so it changes in terms of the way it looks, which is a lot of fun to see.
Most of the woods that runs east to west here in the northern part is actually sitting on a sand dune.
Really nice diversity of trees on the dune. The woodland growth that we have here appears to be pretty much virgin. This was never cleared, farmed, plowed up, so that's why we have a great proliferation of wildflowers and great trees.
Tulip poplar, a lot of black cherry, some sugar maple, red and white oak, beech trees, buckeye trees. So we've got a lot of really great native trees that comprise the overstory. Since our primary focus of our mission is education, we definitely want school groups and homeschool groups to come out. Our official program, it's like a mammal program, but obviously we can highlight the elk and the bison. We can do a little bit of a lesson and we can point out all these differences between all these different animals. Then we can come out and show them and look and say, hey, what are some of these differences? And we offer similar things for all of our different ecosystems, the grasslands, the woodlands, the wetlands. We have a raptors program.
Some groups, you don't want to know more about the elk or about the bison, or some want to know about the geology out here. Some want to know more about the plants, the native species we have, the invasive species that we have.
Anyone can set a reservation or schedule a time to come out and take a hike. And that's actually a great way to get to see all of the park and kind of get a little bit of all of those educational programs.
The Audubon Society, they're into birds, so they come out here and we'll do a hike and they'll try to identify as many birds as they can. It's so much fun bringing experts out here because every time they come, I learn something new.
We want anyone and everyone to come out. We think this is valuable enough that everyone should see and should learn about this stuff.
I like going on hikes and finding frogs.
Everything we have here is native Indiana wildlife. All these artifacts here came from animals on the property. We want kids to come over and touch them and feel them and see what they're really like. Kid comes over and touches this elk antler and picks it up and says, I got 2 of these on my head for 6 months. What does that do to my neck muscles? It's, it's pretty incredible. And so being able to experience it rather than someone telling you about it is so much more meaningful. When we bought this place, we had no idea of the richness and value of it. And when I speak of value, I'm not talking about monetary, I'm talking about fullness of the nature that's here.
Coming out here has really expanded my appreciation for the entirety of the ecosystem.
Our goal was never to grow to be huge or to make a lot of money or anything else. It was to just do a really good job. And Northeast Indiana has been so good to my family. We wanted to have one way to give back to it.
And welcome to Primetime. I'm Bruce Haines. And welcome to our guests from Elsie Nature Park, where Hope Wallace is the executive director. And with Hope is John Brooks, whose family restored the land so generations can experience the beauty of the natural world through outdoor education. And of course, we welcome you to the program as well. If you'd like to join with a question or comment, by all means, use the number you see on the screen. We'll bring you on in as we widen out and say hi to Hope.
Hi.
And to John. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, what you said toward the end of the video is something I like to start with. When you found the land, or the land found you, might be a little bit of both. That you started. It seems the effect was a genealogical journey for what the land was all about, the history of the land, and the context of it all for the content of what became the park. Talk about that. Let me start with you, Joe.
Well, initially when we first purchased part of the property, it was like we had no idea of the richness and the diversity of what we had in terms of plants and animals were there. And the initial part was like 37 acres, so it was not a big part of it, but it did include part of the dune. And when you go out there, particularly like the first week of May, and see this incredible spread of great white trillium plants on the dune side, it reminds you of what you might view as paradise.
Wow.
Yeah, it's stunning. It is stunning. These flowers are this big around. They're white. They carpet the hillsides. It's one of the largest populations in the area, and we're really fortunate to have it.
Well, it also reminds us of trying to do a little research online, and of course, Little River Wetlands is an assistance to this work as well. Something like 25,000 acres at one time formed when glaciers decided to come over the top of a geological formation, and the marshland appeared, then arguably disappeared, and now is being reclaimed by that organization, by the work you're doing. I was amazed to see initially how the farmland looked, void of all thoughts. How do you figure out where to start? It's like walking into a room that needs a little paint, and you just don't know which wall to start on, I guess.
That's a very good question, because we didn't know where to start, okay? And what we did is we went back and talked to a lot of people that have been familiar with maybe what the pre-settlement nature was in the area, and tried to figure out how to recreate that. And in doing so, we reestablished some wetlands, reestablished some tall grass prairie, and it's like these were all native plants, all native fauna and flora that we had in the area, and that's what we wanted to try to do, is recreate pre-settlement conditions. And knowing by doing that it would attract much of the animals, the insects, the birds, all that by recreating the original flora that was there.
Right.
So,
We struggle with invasives, so there are many different kinds of invasive, and some of them you won't think that is an invasive, such as Queen Anne's lace. So controlling of invasives is really important and one of the primary tasks that we have. But it's been really interesting watching the Little River interact with this land and this elk lake that we have in the main prairie, and how it actually is functioning as it should have.
And that it did attract, as we look at the before shots, as we go through here, naturalists and other conservationists seem to, or at least the impression I get, is that they came alongside and said, we'd love to help as well as to what goes where and how much and that kind of thing.
I can't give enough credit to the other conservation groups in the area that, in terms of helping us. Little River Wetlands, Acres, the Nature Conservancy, they have all been really, really supportive and helpful in terms of how we could restore this and how we could make this better for our mission and our goal.
Yeah.
We're all in this together.
Well, it's a wonderful thing that also sounded like it was a collective family aha moment when it said, why don't we do this? What was that discussion like that led to finally saying, okay, let's put some action to this?
Well, we bought our original acreage back in the mid-90s and built our house and barn and pond and that kind of thing on it. And again, didn't know exactly all the richness that we had there, and were able to add on that as time went on, and it basically became our family's private park. Okay, introduced elk in 2011, bison in 2012, and continued to enjoy them. And you know, from the video, you saw how much I appreciate watching the different species interact, and what I've learned from them. But at a certain point in time, it was like, okay, how can we share this with the community rather than it being a private facility?
Right. And I'm thinking, too, that along the way as well, the inspiration from Carol, your wife, is significant, and we can resolve the question of what the LC stands for.
Well, originally no one was supposed to know, but it does stand for Loving Carol, okay? And she was the inspiration for the park. But the park is not about her. The park is about things that she was passionate about, including children, including education, including the STEM subjects, and nature. And she loved all those. And it was provided the inspiration for saying, okay, we have this property, let us share it with the community. The community's been very good to our family, and let's celebrate those things that she was passionate about.
Absolutely. So as executive director, you're given the commission to find ways for students of all ages to observe the variety of the plants and the animals. How do you take that on?
It's a big project. We just recently started an education task force so we can reach out to those schools and get more field trips out, and we have had pretty good luck with field trips, but we want more. And an audience that we're really concentrating on is the underserved, people who don't always have an opportunity, whether it's physical or location, to experience this wonderful place and be out in nature and feel comfortable in those surroundings. So we're working on that, and that's growing a little bit, but we need to grow it a lot more.
And I can imagine not only K-12, but also post-secondary for folks who are exploring undergrad and advanced degrees. If they are looking for the living lab, if you will, here you are.
It is. We're working with the AMP Lab students. Some of them are going to be filming for B-roll for a content library. And then the plant group is going to be working on soil and creating plants. So we're excited to be working with them. We also use interns throughout the year on a myriad of projects.
And
additionally, we also,
please.
PFW has been doing a number of studies out there. We've had bat studies, small rodent studies. What else we have?
Owls?
Owls.
Owl one?
Yeah, we've had a number of studies that PFW students have been doing also out there.
That's wonderful. And when you mentioned the Audubon Society as well, I mean, it's like this is an extra ripple we hadn't really thought of. But by golly, you know, because I assume the biosphere or the circle of life or what's being experienced that there are some concentric circles that are going on.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
We participate in the bird count every year. One of our volunteers from our hardworking volunteer base is associated with them, so we work with them as well.
All right, let's get to the question that we'll ask on your behalf, but if you have a question, you're welcome to call. Why bison and elk? Let's bring these guys forward and give them their 5 minutes. Talk to us about bison in any particular order.
Bison and elk were here before we were, so they were native to Indiana. Buffalo Trace is not just a whiskey. It is a pathway that the bison used to come up through Indiana. And we wanted to, there's a bison on our state seal, so we want to introduce these back into our area and have people realize that these were once, walking around in our woods.
John, you were mentioning you're encountering them in a golf cart, and I thought, they're encountering you in a golf cart. What?
Well, they are very interesting species, and I really enjoy observing them, and in turn, I think they observe me also. Okay. But as I said in the video, I can go out there and park 100 feet, 200 yards away, and within 20 minutes they will have slowly grazed their way around me to find out what I'm doing out there. They're incredibly curious animals.
Yeah.
And you change anything out there and they will notice it, and as long as they're not scared, they will check it out. I can put a game camera out on a tree and they won't see me do that, and by the next morning I will have a picture of a nose.
With the hidden camera thing sounds like could be a lot of fun.
They're used to drones now, so
right.
I thought the elk would be terrified of them, but they were quite hams. They were like turning and looking at the drone to see what it was, but they weren't afraid of it at all, and we've gotten some great shots, as you can see.
Well, absolutely, and that because of how the park is constructed, there are no feeding stations necessarily. I mean, you may have something supplemental, understandably for the well-being of all concerned, but when they're in the wild, they are able to literally fend for themselves.
Right.
And right now, too, you were telling us before the show began that this is a way, this time of year, the herd is growing.
Yes.
In a whole natural way.
Yeah, we should have some baby bison very soon, which are called red dogs. You saw some in the film. They're born with a really rusty red coat, and they have really dark muzzles and big brown eyes, and they're really, really adorable. But they should be showing up pretty soon here, a week or two.
A couple weeks, we should have some. Yeah. The elk calves are born in June, typically. The elk behave similar to deer. When they calve a young one, they'll hide it in the grass, and you may not know about it for a couple weeks. Whereas the bison are wide out in the open, and you know about it right away, and mom tells you to stay away.
Right.
Well, there was some amazing antenna work in the video on with several of these elk and the antlers and this they just shed the old and are growing the new.
Right.
I guess.
They just shed them in March. I think we just turned out the last one last week, and by now the two dominant bulls, their antlers are already this big. 6 inches wide, and they're all fuzzy, and they look kind of silly, but they're trying.
I love it. Share the story of the display in the education center when it comes to elk and antlers.
Okay. Well, Fred is our oldest elk bull, and he will be 15 in a couple months here, and we've been able to collect his antlers from age 3 up to this past dropping, which happened just about 2 weeks ago. And we've taken these antlers and put them on a tower, essentially, a wood tower, where they go from age 3 to the last year up to the top. So you can see the growth as they mature, and then as they pass maturity and begin to diminish in terms of the robustness of the antlers. And so Fred has been awesome to be able to share with us his antlers. But the antlers are the fastest growing bone in the world almost. And so in 6 months you go from nothing to
Those
you know,
big, huge.
20 pounds, 25 pounds of antler on your head.
Sure, and if you're doing point inventory to find out how many offshoots there are per side, it indeed supports the point.
Yes.
That there has to be a lot of things going on with growth and extension when you're not really thinking. But you might come back and you see the same elk the next day or the next 2 days, and then you. Something's different. What? I'm noticing something different here that's going on.
You can almost see the antlers grow.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there are lots of things for you to see at LC Nature Park. One of them is coming soon, and you may have some in your neck of the woods as well. Talk to me about Trillium.
Trillium Fest?
Yeah.
Trillium Fest is May 4th. It is open to the public. It is a free hiking festival. We have food trucks, we have vendors, we have our partner organizations attend. We have nature-themed games. We launch seed balls into the prairie with a giant slingshot. And we have Eco Challenge, where you're going to learn how to do some of the jobs that we do on the park, and Animal Olympics, where we have craft stations, and this year we're making clay tree faces, stick weaving, and like some little nature boats. But the main point of the festival is to get people out. There's no admission. You can hike freely. There'll be interpretive guides along the way if you need them, or you can hike freely with, just yourself. So.
It's a great day for that. Typically, we have guided hikes, okay, for two reasons. One, we want to protect the animals, okay? And secondly, we want to make sure that people get the full value of their hike. And without a guide showing them the details of what they might be walking by, they're going to miss so much. There are a lot of places in Allen County and Northeast Indiana to just go out on a hike. But there aren't many places that can take you out there and teach you as you go and increase the knowledge that you have while you're having fun on a hike in the situation. So that's part of our mission.
Wow.
And it is kind of nice on those hikes because you pretty much do have the park to yourself with your guide. And each hike you take, it's not like one and done. You can take another hike and something's different in the park, and your guide can explain those things.
Wow. And there are camps, too, I understand, where some of this experience is extended.
Yes.
Talk to me of that.
Camp Trillium is so much fun to watch. And all the kids are having such a ball. It's a day camp, bring their lunch. It's kind of based on the forest school model, where the kids are outside all the time, most of the time. They're getting muddy and dirty. They're exploring tadpoles and frogs, and they're really getting an education in nature. And we hope that programming hooks them so that when they grow up, they can have their kids enjoy nature and, hopefully protect it.
Lots of ways to support the park philosophically and such, but also to support it financially. This is one donor at a time, when public media is familiar with your model, I guess.
Yes.
We are a not-for-profit, and, all kinds of different funding sources that we employ.
Well, I wonder if you could share, we're looking at the past, we're in the present, and that dynamic is there, and you're thinking about the future. How do you keep all that in balance when you're involved with an atmosphere such as LC Nature Park?
I'm not sure we can keep it in balance, Bruce. Okay, we're doing our best. Obviously, part of the park has to do with the heritage of the area also. Not only geologically, the valley created between Fort Wayne and Huntington, created by the Maumee Torrent, which is a whole story in and of itself. But the area was also a tribal reserve area for the Miami Nation. And we are working with them, trying to provide more education about what the cultural aspects that were here before settlement happened, and trying to help make that happen.
Wow. In our final minute, additional thoughts about, again, that notion of unplugging and reconnecting, and if you really want to get back to the way it was, here it is.
Yeah, it's an incredible place. it just kind of envelops you in this quiet and peaceful way, and you can let go and just be. It's a great place to explore. We have awesome, unique programs during the month with varying themes, and so we encourage everyone to come out.
And if you'd like to get additional background, there's the place to go, lcnaturepark.org, and the phone number below that as well. And remember, Trillium Fest coming up just in a matter of days.
Yes.
Anymore,
Yeah.
it seems.
Yes.
Hope Wallace is the executive director, and John Brooks and his family, founders of LC Nature Park. Thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Bruce.
Yeah.
Past half hour, thank you for allowing us to be a part of your evening. For all of us with Primetime, I'm Bruce Haines. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. Good night.